welcome back to my channel. My name is Ness if you're new here. Hi, how are you? I like to talk about books. I have 3 camera batteries with me in preparation that this video might take a while. It's been a little while since we did a book haul and I do have plenty of books to share with you. I did away with my monthly book haul videos because although I do buy a lot of books, I have calmed down in my spending, especially in this climate. But I do like to keep you updated on the books that I am buying. This does seem like a lot, but I do actually read a lot. And even though I have a book channel, I don't really talk about the books that I do read in excess. I read about 100 books a year, so for what is here, I think I'm stocked up for next year. If you have read any of these books, let me know which ones I should be prioritising, which ones are good reads. I do also have 2 parcels here to open. There are other gifts in this video which are birthday gifts from August. This is kind of like the time scale we're talking about from August to now, although I haven't really been buying books a lot in the past 6 weeks. A lot of these books are also off Vinted. Not sponsored by Vinted, but I've been raving about Vinted recently and how good it is for getting some books that you want cheaper. A lot of these books are like £2 a book and they're in fantastic condition, and they are books that have been sat on my Amazon wish list for around £10, so what a saving. And also, you know, supporting fellow readers and also getting some more funds to fund their book habit as well. Before I pick up my first book, I do want to thank everyone because I did hit 5,000 subscribers this week, which has blown my mind. I need to say this quickly or else I will get emotional. Thank you to everyone that provides me with an active space to discuss how much I love reading books. I have recently lost my grandmother in the past few weeks, and her biggest hobby was reading books as well. And when I lost her, I didn't realise that I was also losing someone that I could just, you know, read books with and chat about books with and discuss books with, and it left me in a really dark space. But then, you know, I feel like I can come on here and I can share my thoughts about books and have that discussion with people from all over the world, and it makes me feel so much less lonely in this world, and it adds another dimension to my reading hobby. So yes, I just wanted to thank everyone who has subscribed to my channel. It really means a lot to me, and I see you comment on my videos. I read every single comment. The people that comment more regularly, I feel like genuinely like are my little comfort group of people, and I'm just so grateful, so thank you very much. So first off, I'm going to start with some hardbacks, which in my lap together looks stunning. I will be doing a rejiggery of my shelves, which are currently colour coordinated, sort of. And I wanted to make it a bit more darker, a bit more dramatic, show off some of my favourite books in the background of my videos, change the lighting and everything. So I'm very excited, but the way that these are together, it gives me inspiration, and I'll show you in a minute. So the first book, you're gonna say like, haven't you already got this book? And the answer is yes, and it is Babel. This is the Waterstones edition with the black sprayed edges and is also signed by the author. Yes, I do have the Fairy Loot edition, and yes, I do have the Illumicrate edition. I did not realise I'd pre-ordered this, and by the time I realised that this had been pre-ordered, this had been sat in a shop for 3 months. So there wasn't much I could do about it at that point. I was gonna ask could I maybe exchange it, and I opened the package in the shop in preparation for me to hand it to the person at the counter and say, is there any chance I could exchange this for a book in the shop, because I already have 2 editions of this. But when I opened this and I saw the black edges, I was like, okay. So I kept it, because even though the Fairy Loot edition and the Illumicrate edition are stunning, this edition I also really do like, and I think this is going to be the one that I do read. I just was very enamoured by the black edges and I couldn't hand it over to the person at the counter, so I thought, you know what, we're just going to keep this. And if this is a book that I really like, 3 editions is not that excessive. I do have like 3 editions of other books. I don't know, we're going to read it, we're going to see how I feel about it, but you know, 3 signed editions. This is a book by the author of The Poppy War, and it's about an imaginary college in Oxford University which uses translation and magic. The school is like a tower from which all power of the empire flows. The main character is an orphan from Canton who's brought to England to practice at the school. There's like undertones of like empire rebellion in here. Just a side note, all of these books that I'm like showing you have just spent the past 3 months like sat on my floor in piles down here just outside of videos because I have nowhere to put them. So when I tidy my shelves, it's also gonna have to be an unhaul to get these on here. We're gonna have to make about 3 shelves worth of space It's daunting, especially because when I read books, I don't keep them. I do actually get rid of them. The next book you're also going to say, Vanessa, don't you have a copy of that? And I'm going to say, yes, I do. Thank you very much. It is Circe by Madeline Miller, and I really wanted this book in the hardback edition. I saw this on Vinted for £3 whole, and I decided I'm going to get rid of my paperback and I'm going to replace it with this stunning hardback, which underneath, as well as having a map in it, hardcover design, I just thought for £3, you know, to upgrade my paperback, it was well worth it. This has been read once, but you can't tell it's in like a brand new condition. It's so good. I haven't read my paperback, but I did read The Song of Achilles this year and I really liked it. So I was really looking forward to reading Circe as well. Obviously Circe is a retelling of Greek mythology and the story of Circe. It's about witchcraft and giving more of a voice to Circe. Greek mythology isn't really kind to women by today's standards. I'm looking forward to reading it. It is stunning. Books with flowers on the front are my favourites. The next one is also a Waterstones edition, and this is the Atlas Paradox. This is my most recent purchase. I actually got this when I went to pick up Babel, and this was the book I was going to swap Babel for, but then I decided I'm just going to get both of them. I did have the Waterstones edition of the Atlas 6 as well. I do like the design on the Atlas Paradox a lot better. I hated the Waterstones edition of the Atlas 6 and I sold it for like half of what I paid for it because I just wanted it gone. I did not like it at all and I much preferred the Fairy Loot edition. This book has stunning end papers, and when I saw this on someone else's video I was like, you know, I just have to buy that the next time I go to Waterstones. Lovely. I didn't manage to get the Fairy Loot edition of the Atlas Paradox, but I do like that my Fairy Loot edition of the Atlas 6 and this matches. I think this is probably the best pairing. It's just the normal edition of this plus the Fairy Loot edition. So I am happy with these. The Atlas Paradox is the sequel to the Atlas 6, which was another book that I read at the very start of this year and I absolutely loved it. It's an adult novel about 6 individuals who are gifted with rare talents and magical abilities, scouted to join a prestigious society which will teach them to manifest their powers and how to use them for the greater good, kind of, you know, given like Umbrella Academy themes. It's written in a dark academia way which gives it the most beautiful reading experience. The society is the Alexandrian Society, who are the keepers of the lost Library of Alexandria, but it doesn't really go too much into that. It's more character driven and character based, has the most fantastic characters in it, and I really loved it. Very excited to read the sequel. This is honestly, I promise you this is not the theme of this video, because book number 4 is also a book that I have in paperback and I got the hardback, and it is an Ember and Ashes with the original cover. I know, it's terrible. Rebecca found this in a secondhand bookshop and I was like, you know what, get that for me and I will give you the money. This edition does have a world mapping, which the paperback does not. And I am not getting rid of the paperback because this is actually one of my favourite books of all time. I've really enjoyed this. I've read this edition. Look, it's battered, right? Look at the damage on this edition. Look at how many times I have read this book. I have read this book to death. And I want to get this series in hardback, but the funny thing is I've not actually read book 2 because I have so much anxiety that I might read book 2 and not like it. So even though I've had book 2 for just as long as I've read the first one, which is about maybe like 10 years, I don't know how long this book's been out, I have not read it because it makes me scared. I do have book 4 though, signed by the author, so I obviously want to read book 2, but every time I say, right, I'm going to read book 2, I reread book 1 in anticipation of going straight into book 2, and then I get the scares again. So, you know, I'm just scared. I'm scared. To me, this is a special book, and I really wanted it. This is what I mean by like these books together and giving me inspiration for my shelves. Lots of darks, lots of oranges, and lots of golds. I think that would make a nice background. Moving on to some of the paperbacks, the next book is To Kill a Kingdom. I got this on Amazon for £2 and it has been on my radar for a little while because Rebecca, who is my best friend, really enjoyed it. Seems like a Little Mermaid retelling. I've said for many years now that fairy tale retellings are some of my favourites. The main character is a princess and she is a siren. She's cursed into humanity by the ruthless sea witch, and she's told that she must deliver the heart of the ruthless, infamous Siren Killer or remain a human forever. The Siren Killer is Prince Elian, who is a human prince, and he is the captain of Siren Hunters, an heir to a powerful kingdom. Not really high on my TBR, to be honest, but one in the background. Next is a book from Rebecca, and she had 2 copies of this, so she did give me one. I honestly haven't had much interest in reading Jade City before, but everybody seems to say very good things about it. But it is described by Ken Liu as an epic drama reminiscent of the best classic Hong Kong gangster films, but taking place in a fantasy metropolis so gritty and well imagined that you'll forget you're reading a book. In this world, Jade, the stone, enhances a warrior's natural speed and strength. It's mined, traded, stolen and killed for, and is controlled by 2 families equal in their power and ruthlessness. A modern drug emerges that allows anyone, even foreigners, to wield jade. Simmering tensions between the 2 clans erupts into open war. It does sound really good, but I'm struggling to see how this book could be over 400 pages, but I guess I'll find out sometime next year. Next is the last book that my grandma gave me. And I don't think she realised, because at the time she was in fairly good health, that this would be the last book that she gave me. How to Kill Your Family. The irony is not lost on me. Honestly, I think I would like to move swiftly on from this book. It looks great with the outfit I've got on now. I'm not sure if it's really a book for me. It's apparently like funny and dark funny, the dark humour funny, which is like my kind of thing. There's some personal meaning to this now, obviously, and I don't know if I can read it, and I don't know if I can part with it either. We're gonna move on. I must tell a story. A few months ago, I wasn't feeling great and I went shopping to cheer myself up. Found that the shopping centre was like too busy and was giving me like a lot of anxiety, so I just went to Waterstones and just went to the buy one get one half price tables, and I did some damage. And I picked up some books that I thought, you know, I don't know a lot about these books, but I see them on the internet, see them around TikTok, and I see a lot of things about them, so I'm just going to pick them up and add them to my part 3 of BookTok Made Me Read It. So the first one is All of Us Villains, which I was seeing a lot on TikTok. I didn't realise this was a book that was co-written by Christine Lynn Herman, whose books I have read and did not enjoy. On the back of this book, it is trying to sell itself as like the Hunger Games. It literally says the Hunger Games, which, you know, is a big, bold statement to make. But this book seems to be about a remote city in which every generation 7 families name a champion among themselves to compete in a tournament to the death linked to a curse. The winning family get exclusive control over the city's power, which is a magical supply. Seems like the plot of this book is going to be that one of the more well-meaning families are trying to win it to do some good. I guess we'll have to find out in my next BookTok video whether I like it or not. I'm already thinking to myself, where am I going to keep all these books? The next book on here is also of that same shopping trip, and that is Realm Breaker. I have never read anything by Victoria Aveyard? I'm not sure. This book was published in 2021 and did cause a lot of hype around it at the time it was being published. I saw this book everywhere and then it really died down. It came out in paperback, went on offer, and I thought, it's my time. This is a very, very long book and it doesn't tell you much about this book at all on the back. I've tried to find some more information on the inside and I can't. All it says is, Esquire, the survivor of a failed quest, an immortal, timeless and unfathomable, an assassin, skilled and heartless, an old sorceress, holding secrets behind her teeth, a pirate's daughter, the world's last hope. The heroes are gone, but the fight to save the world has only just begun. Don't know anything more to it than that. And honestly, I'm just so curious to read this book, going in with just what it tells me and seeing what this book is actually about. Usually if I'm going to purchase a book in a shop and it gives me like nothing, it gives me nothing about the book at all, I will go on to Goodreads, I'll have a look at the reviews, I'll see how it's described by readers. And this time I just thought, you know, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to see how confident they thought they were selling a book with giving us nothing. Sorceress, assassin, immortal, squire, pirate's daughter, obviously fantasy. But to the readers who just, you know, go into a shop, pick something at random, you know, they're not really into reading a lot, they might read 1 or 2 books a year, what would possess them to pick this up? Next is a birthday gift from August from Lauren, who is my friend who is also a booktuber. If you do like my content, I think you would like Lauren's, so I will leave links in the description of everyone who I mentioned today because I think you should go and watch their videos too. This is Written in the Stars, which I added to my Amazon wishlist after speaking to one of my viewers in my Twitter DMs about this book. Mentioning that I am a sapphic person, and at one point I mentioned that I would like to just read more sapphic in general, and they recommended Written in the Stars to me, which is a sapphic romance book, which is a contemporary, which I don't usually read, but it does sound very good. And like the other book given like us nothing on the back, this one just is an essay. One of the main characters has a Twitter account, which is like an astrology Twitter account called All My Stars. It's got the fake dating trope in. The last book I read was The Love Hypothesis, which had the fake dating trope, and I really liked it. Another birthday gift, this one is of Lily, who's also a booktuber and also has such good content. I would honestly recommend her content. Such a wealth of videos there waiting for you to entertain you and inspire you. This one is Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and I've wanted to read this book for years. It sounds really, really good, and I've just never found it when I've been looking for it. It is a short read. It comes in at just 200 pages, and it is a translated work. The plot of this novel centers around a cafe which allows people to travel back in time. It describes itself as a beautiful, moving story which explores the age-old question: what would you change if you could travel back in time? More importantly, who would you want to meet maybe for one last time? I'm actually going to be filming a vlog where I read all of my books which are like 200 pages and under in one weekend, and this is definitely going to be on there. The next 3 books are a series, and I got these on Vinted. The first book has been read, but the next 2 are brand new, and this is the Born Witch series by Rinchipeko, which have beautiful art. The first book is The Born Witch, The Heart Forger, then I think it's Shadow Glass. Would you like to guess the price on these? These books were purchased from an independent bookshop, and the person who originally bought them paid £9 per book. I paid £9 for all 3. I've had these on my Amazon wishlist for a long time, and they're just not books that I'd gravitate towards buying myself for a treat. But when I saw them on Vinted for £9, I was like, yes, please. The main character is a witch with the power of a necromancy, which makes her feared and ostracized in her homelands. She leaves and goes to train under another Born Witch, where she tries to learn to control her magic, but there is a war in the kingdoms that threatens the survivals of those that she loves. I've never read a book by Rinchipeko. Might be next autumn by the time I get round to these, but let me know what you think of this series in the comments if you've read it. Next are 2 books by another great friend named Caitlin. Although Caitlin is not a booktuber unlike the rest of the people mentioned in this video, Caitlin has such a great insight on books, and I've taken a lot of my personal reading recommendations from Caitlin by scouring Caitlin's Goodreads, seeing what Caitlin enjoys, and then buying what Caitlin enjoys. But Caitlin has also got me 2 books here, which have been books I've wanted for a long time. One of them specifically a recommendation that I've taken from Caitlin. The other one is just, it just sounds great. So the first one, which is the one I wanted to read and motivated by on the back of Caitlin's recommendations from her Goodreads, is The Sword of Kaigen. I didn't realise, but this is a self-published novel. It is super long, and again it has a whole dissertation on the back about the plot. The Poppy Wars, darkness meets the last Airbender's elemental magic. Ooh. This is an adult high fantasy novel. The main character is a 14-year-old born into a legendary fighting family and is being raised to master fighting techniques and defend his homeland. Although a stranger does arrive to him, and he realizes that what he believes might not be the reality, and the empire he's born to defend might be stood on a foundation of lies. From the back it also does reference another main character who is another member of the household, who seems like to be the main character's mother, and because of his questions about the world, she starts to then question herself and finds that her inner fighter is clawing its way back to the surface. Some of the best books that I've read in the past 2 years have been self-published, so this is high on my TBR. And the other book is Malice by John Gwynne, who is a very prominent fantasy writer. This is a book I've been looking out for secondhand for a long time. Malice is part of a high fantasy series. It's actually been out for 10 years now, and it does seem very traditional fantasy. It does actually say at one point there will be a war to end all wars, and that's very typical fantasy, isn't it? Of this kind. The writing is tiny. This book is so intimidating. It's over 600 pages with the teeniest little words. I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to reading this one. This book could take me many months. but I genuinely love adult traditional high fantasy, which is political, which is about wars, which is kings and kingdoms. An epic tale of good versus evil, you know, the bones of the Lord of the Rings and the fantasy genre is strong. 2 epic books that might take me a while to read, but I'm very much looking forward to reading them. Next book is another gift of Rebecca, and she purchased this to be delivered to me when I had COVID a few weeks ago and I was going through a very, 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 very tough time. Having this cover in my hands, I realised how beautiful this is. It's A Deal with the Elfkin by Elise Corver, which is another self-published book, I believe. Published by Silverwing Press. Elise Corver has written so many novels, and I do have a few of them. But this is my first Married to Magic book, which is a series which is adult fantasy romance with like the typical like elves, vampires, monsters. I think my favourite thing about the internet in today's age is that it's give women a space to be like unashamedly obsessed with smutty romance that has like monsters and vampires and elves and all types of fantasy, and I just think it's great. We're in the new era of Mills and Boons, driven by Booktube and Booktube, and I love it. Anyway, back to the artwork. I'm going off track. The art on this cover is so detailed and so stunning. Whoever is the digital artist for this, honestly, congratulations. The elves come for 2 things: war and wives. In both cases, they come for death. The main character is 19-year-old Luella, and she is studying herbology and becomes the town's only healer, but she is taken by the elves to become their human queen. But this isn't a good thing because this just essentially means she's gonna die. I'm reading this right, this is the back. Until the elf king unexpectedly arrives, ... for her. You know, I know how this is gonna go, okay? I'm excited. Another TikTok made me buy it in Waterstones at the half price table. Honestly, I don't know why I bought this, but you know, it's for a video, it's for research, it had to be done. It's The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This is definitely not a book that I would have ever picked up if I wasn't a booktuber. It's the first in a series of spicy standalone romance featuring 3 billionaire brothers. Totally not my thing, but you know, I do it for you. Rowan, in the business of creating fairy tales, production companies, 5-star hotels, theme parks. Everything will be mine if I renovate Dreamland. Zara submits a drunken proposal criticising Dreamland's most expensive ride. And Rowan reads it and offers her a dream job. It already says on the back that he falls for her, so you know, spoilers. To the girls who dream of meeting a prince but end up falling for the misunderstood villain. Okay. Right, I now have high expectations for this book. I've just read the author section and legit names that one of her favourite activities in here is watching old episodes of Parks and Rec. I have found my people. This is now like high on my TBR. Yes. Next, I think this is the last book from my Waterstones trip, but this is not a TikTok made me buy it. This is just a book that, you know, I picked up first and I really wanted. And it's The Shadow of the Gods by the author of Malice, who we just discussed. What I love about this book is it has no blurb at all. It just has quotes, like media quotes, what they're called accolades, talking about how good the book is. There is nothing in this at all apart from it says it's set in a brand new Norse-inspired world and packed with myth, magic and bloody vengeance. Again, I just repeat my comments. If someone only read books like 1 or 2 a year, why would they pick this up? How would they know what it is about? Oh, about 7 years ago, me and Rebecca made a video where we showed each other covers of books that we had read that the other one had not read, and we had to make assumptions based on the cover of what that book was about. We could bring this back with books that have like no blurb, no description on the back, guessing what they're about and then reading them and then seeing just like how wrong we were. Seems like another adult traditional high fantasy novel with dragons. It has nothing on the back, but it does have a dragon. And I will part with my money if I see a book on the cover that has a dragon. If you've read Malice and that one, let me know which one I should start with, because I don't know. Next is another book that when I went round to Rebecca's house and she was having a clear out and she gave me her second copy of Jade City. I did also take this book which she was going to get rid of, and I thought, you know, I am going to take it for myself. and that is Girl in the Walls, and it is a Waterstones exclusive edition which is signed by the author, which has sprayed and stenciled edges. And I just thought, you know, I'm going to give it a try because I do kind of like books that attempt a little bit of horror but aren't horror at all. It's about spooky houses and I like a book with a spooky house. I did grow up in a spooky house and I did consider filming a video which I just read books in my grandma's old spooky house. You know, some people spend a lot of money going to like haunted hotels and reading books in haunted hotels when I could just do one at my late family's house. The reason I don't is because I do find it too spooky to sleep in. So maybe instead of reading like horror stories set in spooky houses, I should just read books about spooky houses in a spooky house. This book is about a family who, as children, believe that they see a girl sometimes out of the corner of their eye and they feel the need to make her disappear, but they're not sure how to get rid of someone they aren't even sure exists. And if they cast her out, what other threats might they invite in? I can't tell if this is a video idea, you know, it might be a video idea. I don't know, we'll discuss it, we'll plan it in the next vlog. I'll show you some clips of the spooky house and then you can tell me what to do. The next few books are birthday present books off Rebecca, and yeah, it seems like this video was sponsored by Rebecca. She does buy me a lot of books. We are IRL besties though. If you didn't know, if you sort of watched mine and or Rebecca's channel separately, we are the best of friends since birth, as close as sisters, which is why, you know, excessive book buying is part of our little friendship. But this is a book that I've wanted since it came out. I was really disappointed that The Final Strife was not in the Illumicrator Fairy Loot this year. Genuinely, I thought that this was going to be an amazing Illumicrator adult Fairy Loot pick, and it just never came. And that was what I was really holding out for, was like a special edition of this. I was actually going to wait for the Christmas sales to buy this for myself, but Rebecca bought it for me for my birthday, and honestly I don't feel like you need to buy a special edition of this because it does have stunning end papers in it anyway, and the cover looks fantastic. Like, what, how would you change this? How would you make changes to this? This is an adult high fantasy which seems quite complex in detail. Again, it's an empire novel with rebellion, but I can't get enough of those, honestly. Every 10 years in this empire there are trials held to find the next ember rulers of the empire, and the next trial is about to begin. All can join, but not everyone can win. It requires great skill and ingenuity to become the future Ember wardens of strength, knowledge, truth, and duty. The main character is Scylla, and she was destined to win the trials and become Warden of Strength. Stolen by rebels as an infant, she was raised with a duster's heart, forged as a weapon to bring down the empire from within. When her adopted family are brutally murdered, those dreams of a better future are all turned to dust. It's time for her to decide, as the trials draw closer, will she rule the empire or destroy it? This sounds right up my street. The last Empire Revolution book that I read, unfortunately, was a disappointment, and I was reading it for a reading vlog as well. So, you know, all of that is to come in a future video, and it was The Unbroken. So yes, the sapphic trifecta reading vlog is coming. Also, another birthday present is Lore Olympus Volume 2, and Rebecca also did get me Lore Olympus Volume 1. I spoke about that and read it in a Christmas vlog from last year because she got me Volume 1 for Christmas. Volume 3 is almost out. This is a Waterstones exclusive cover. If you're wondering why does this cover look different to the one you have, this Waterstones did change the cover for this. I've read it up to about 130, 140 episodes, I think. But when I found out that it was actually going to publish, I stopped reading it because I wanted to have that reading experience on glossy paper. And it's so much better reading this in glossy, beautiful colour form than it is just reading it like squinting over my phone. I enjoy it so much more. I would 100% recommend reading Lore Olympus either on Webtoons, which is where it is free, or on its printed version if you have not read it before. It's so good. Lore Olympus started out as an online comic but has expanded to be so much more, and it is like a modern interpretation of Greek mythology and the Greeks being in the modern world. This one collects episodes 26 to 49, so we still have some way to go for me to actually start reading new editions. The humour in this is so good. Now, this book has been featured on my channel before. It was in my Book Talk Part 2 reads video, which I put out a few weeks ago. That's Ice Planet Barbarian. Rebecca did buy me this for my birthday, but I had sneakily read it in the meantime because it was on Amazon Prime to read for free, so I was like, I'm just going to read it, and I really enjoyed it. But I do have a more in-depth review about this book on my videos from a couple of videos ago. 5 out of 5 stars from me. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was funny. It's really funny actually. I think Rebecca thought she was getting me a joke present when she got me this, but honestly this is a great book. A great present for your friends at Christmas if they have not read this, because yeah, I thought it was a good book. Next is Twin Crowns, which is a young adult novel which is also in the vein of One Dark Crowns, which is what it makes me think of, which is another young adult novel which is one of my favourite young adult series. And this one is about 2 sisters who are both princesses, but one of them was stolen from the palace at birth and nobody knows that she exists. Princess Rose is the heir to the throne, and she's trained from birth to fear the witches that killed her parents, and she'll do anything to defend her kingdom. But the stolen princess, Wren, plots to usurp the princess, who is her sister, in order to protect the witches who raised her. Definitely sounds like 3 Dark Crowns to me. So I'm excited to read this because I loved that series so much. And this was a great pick by Rebecca for me because she knows how much I really enjoyed that book. So I feel like she probably picked this one up knowing that. I feel like this is all gonna fall down. You know what I mean? The next book is This Woven Kingdom by Tahara Murphy, and this is a book I do have, but I have the Illumicrate edition, which honestly I will never read because I adore this so much. I just love this edition, and I couldn't imagine getting my grubby fingers all over this book. So I was actually waiting to purchase myself the paperback anyway, which is a cover that I also love. Like, look at that helmet. Look at the design of that helmet. So yeah, this is a book that I would have purchased for myself anyway, but Rebecca did beat me to it. This book is from the author of the Shatter Me series, which I did read as a teenager, the first few books, and then very quickly outgrew it, I think. But this is an aged up novel. I don't know if this is necessarily adult. I don't know where I would find this in a shop, whether it would be with the young adult or whether it would be with the adult books. This is a fantasy book about a long forgotten queen who to the world is a disposable servant, never to be known for who she really is, a long lost heir to an ancient Jinn kingdom. She must claw her way through darkness to reclaim her throne, rebuild her kingdom, and save her people from the half-lives they've been forced to live. Another super long book, but totally up my street. It just seems so good. Wrapping up my birthday presents from Rebecca is Sister Song, which is a book that I've almost bought so many times and I've put it down. Time for me to be absolutely butchered by my pronunciation of things. This book is a reimagining of an old British folk ballad called the Trois. No, I'm not even gonna try. It is this. Okay, set in the Saxon period. And I do love historical novels, as some of you know, because that's what my YouTube channel started out as, being about historical fiction. And I also love books about sisters. Being an only child is not something that I have enjoyed. My closest relationship like that is of course Rebecca. A book about betrayal, magic and murder. I've not read many retellings of ancient tales, especially those that are rooted in British folklore. I'm excited. Right, we're gonna go to the elephant in the room now, which is the last books that I did buy myself. Probably gonna be very unpopular for this, but we'll explain it. And then we're gonna move on to whatever is in these 2 packages. I'm honestly so surprised that so far I've been able to like fit these at least somewhere. Not ideal, not aesthetically pleasing, but they're not on the floor anymore. I must preface this by saying I've read book 1 and book 2. I have not read book 3, 4 or 5. And I do have these in covers as paperback, so again we're going back to books that I already own. I know, it's shocking. There is much better things I could be doing with my money. Oh god, this is heavy. This is the hardback set of A Court of Thorns and Roses. Yeah, I did spend money on this, I know. It's shocking. So the reason that I bought these was because although I hate book 1 and I loved book 2, and I'm trying to bury my enjoyment of Sarah J Maas books. I read these books with my university friends, and there's very few things that we can actually like do together. We live all across the UK in all corners, and I miss them so much. I never get to see them, which kills me and pains me. But when we have a group chat, there's very few things that we talk about consistently or do together or share our thoughts on. So our chat became a little bit of a book club for a little bit of a time over these books, which I had read this one of and hated and many years ago, and it's why I then read Booktube, because my friends were reading them and we really loved it, and it was just such a heartwarming time to bring us closer together. So that's why I've been reading them, and that's also why I purchased them, because I wanted to actually like highlight them and quote them and save some of the quotes that me and my friends had been discussing. So I could reflect back on it, and I don't know, it's sentimental to me, okay? And I really enjoyed highlighting and tabbing House of Sky and Breath, which I am reading, which is another upcoming vlog, but I honestly hate these covers so much. I didn't want to tab my paperbacks because I don't enjoy tabbing paperbacks. I only like to do it in hardbacks, but these covers, oh my god, they're disgusting. This book deserves so much better than that. It's vile. I honestly, I don't like them. I just don't like them. But they smell amazing. They smell so good. But I do have these editions which I purchased when they first came out. This one is actually signed because when this book first came out, Sarah J Maas had done a load of book signings to actually promote them in Waterstones. I think these covers are just so much better than them ones, but they're the ones that I have bought as part of my reading experience with my friends. And I bought them on Vinted. I think they were £40 on Vinted, which is a lot cheaper than buying them brand new as well. So that is the books that I've been acquiring, but we obviously still have 2 parcels here, which I am gonna open right now because Rebecca did request that I open them on camera. I don't think that these are the only ones coming to me though. I think there might be another one coming next week, which I'll open on another vlog. Whoa, there is 2 books in here. Oh wow, the pics are immaculate. Okay, so I was wondering what the occasion was, because it was either like a really good celebration occasion or it was going to be like a, you know, I'm going through a difficult time occasion. But these books are gifts, and the note says, incredibly proud of you for achieving your goal early. Please keep making the incredible content so I can watch your channel keep growing. And that is because I'd actually set my end of year goal to be 5,000 subscribers, and the fact that I've hit this in mid-November is just really overwhelming to me. And the other note says, Tall Twinny hitting goals early. We had a Bebo account. Was it a Bebo account? Bebo or Pixel? It might be Pixel, which we had together and we called it Tall Twinnies. I am 5 for 5. I don't know. Okay, so the books that she has chosen for me in here are both right up my street, and they both link in so well with what I was saying about like adult fantasy. The first one is The Killing Moon by N.K. Jemisin, and I have read books by N.K. Jemisin before and really enjoyed them. This is an adult high fantasy novel set in an ancient city of cobbled streets where they have the Gatherers, who are the keepers of the peace, which is the only law in the city. Priests of the dream goddess, their duty is to harvest the magic of the sleeping mind and use it to heal, soothe, and kill those judged corrupt. The main character is one of the Gatherers, and a conspiracy theory is starting to bloom in their great temple. He then starts to question everything that he knows. Someone or something is murdering innocent dreamers in the goddess's name, and he must now protect the woman he was sent to kill or watch the city be devoured by war and forbidden magic. Whoa, this sounds so good. If it's anything like the books that I have read by N.K. Jemisin already, it will be whimsy and it will be very flowery in its writing and very descriptive and high on TBR. What a fantastic pick, Rebecca. Oh my god. Right, the second one also just as good. Wow, it's The Unspoken Name, which is another high fantasy. Although this is a traditional fantasy quest written by a female author, and it also has queer characters. Oh yes. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the main character's name though, because what on earth is this? It kind of seems like Old English. Also kind of Welsh as well. I did spend some time living in Wales, and when I say some time, I spent many years living in Wales. And I thought that, you know, by learning a little bit of Welsh, it might help me with my obvious problem that I have with pronunciation. And it did not. The main character is raised by a death cult steeped in magic, and on her 14th birthday she's destined to climb a mountain to sacrifice herself at the Unspoken One's shrine. However, a sorcerer comes to her and proposes that she leave with him, turn away from her destiny and her god, and become his thief, spy and assassin. Together they could topple an empire and help him re-establish control. Oh my god, is anyone else just like, oh my god. This sounds epic. This sounds perfect. Oh god, this sounds so good. Oh, what on earth, Rebecca? What on earth? Oh god, this has blown this haul away, to be honest. I have another parcel here to open, but I don't know how you could top this. Like, what picks, what choices? This is just what happens when your best friend is clearly like knows you as well as what my best friend knows me, because the picks are ungodly. Whoa! And it just gets even better apparently. This is exceptional. What on earth? This note just says Wanderness equals success. I mean, I think that's being very generous. And this note actually says 5 gifts for 5k. So we're obviously like waiting on one more book to come. I have a reading vlog planned for next week, so you know the 5th book will be in there if you are curious about what it is. These 2 books, oh god, the picks. This one is These Feathered Flames, which has been on my radar since before it was even published. I was following this book for so long because this is a sapphic novel. When twin heirs are born into reign, their fates are decided at a young age. While one of the twin heirs remained at court to learn the skills she'd need as a future queen, the other one was taken away to train with her and the mysterious Firebird, who ensured magic remained balanced in the realm. Before her training is completed with her aunt, the ancient power blooms inside her, which can only mean one thing: the queen is dead and a new ruler must be crowned. As the princesses come to understand everything their roles entail, they'll discover who they can trust, who they can love, and who killed their mother. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I think this might draw on some Russian legend. This is definitely gonna be in a reading vlog. Oh, it sounds so good. It also sounds very much like Twin Crowns and also 3 Dark Crowns, which is obviously a theme that I just really love in fantasy. And the last book, book number 35 of this whole video, is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. How could I not have had this on my Amazon wishlist? It just sounds interesting. I don't know how to describe it, but it seems like a love it or hate it, and there's so many people that have literally dedicated their personality to this book. I had to read it. Now, I have read a Donna Tartt book before, which makes me a little bit nervous because I read The Goldfinch, which to me was just unnecessarily long. I don't know whether that's an unpopular opinion or not, but this one doesn't seem to be as long as of a novel. Me and The Goldfinch, I didn't get it. So I'm very curious to see what I feel about The Secret History. To me, this is a book where I just have so much curiosity about. It's not necessarily that I'm like dying to read it. Like, it just sounds so good, the hype's amazing. I'm curious, I have a curiosity. It's dark academia, the cover looks amazing. I'm gonna get many good Tumblr pictures from this. Under the influence of their charismatic classics professor, a group of clever, eccentric misfits at an elite New England college discover a way of thinking and living that is a world away from the humdrum existence of their contemporaries. But when they go beyond the boundaries of normal morality, their lives are changed profoundly and forever. Although I didn't like The Goldfinch, it made me realise that Donna Tartt was a fantastic author, and her use of the English language, it is pretty good. I can see why The Goldfinch is so popular. It's just, for me, I don't really like slow-paced books, but I really appreciated the craft of the language. So that's what's really drawn me into this. And I think just with the right plot, I would love a book by Donna Tartt. I am overwhelmed. Obviously, I've been really spoiled in this video, and I really appreciate all of my fantastic friends who make everything that I do so worthwhile. In the next video that I film, we are going to be tidying these shelves up and we are going to get them looking to perfection. We are not going to have books stacked all over the place. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to me, and to anyone who's reached the end of this video. Please let me know what book that you have bought recently and why it was that you wanted to pick up that book. Was it a cover buy? Did someone recommend it to you? Let me know. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.